All right, let's jump right into a huge question, one that people have been obsessed with forever. What if you could live forever? I mean, it sounds amazing, right? The ultimate superpower. But what if it's actually the ultimate curse?
No, really. Just take a second and imagine it. You wake up one morning, and that's it. Death is off the table. No more aging, no diseases, no end. It's the kind of thing we see in myths and sci-fi, but what would it feel like for real?
Okay, so at first, it would be absolutely incredible. A total dream. Those first few centuries, man, they'd be this amazing, exhilarating rush. Just pure, untapped potential. I mean, with literally endless time, you could do everything. You could master every single art, every science. You could become a world-class painter, and then a particle physicist, and then, why not, an award-winning chef. You'd never have to choose again.
And just think about the skills you could pick up. You could spend, say, 200 years just learning the violin. Imagine the kind of mastery you'd have, something no mortal could ever get close to.
And you wouldn't just be reading about the future in history books. You'd actually be living it. You would get to see us take our first steps on Mars with your own eyes. And then watch us travel even further, out to the stars. The sense of wonder would just be endless.
But what happens when that novelty starts to fade? You know, after a few thousand years, that dream of forever starts to crack. And that wide-open horizon, it starts to feel less like freedom and more like, well, the walls of a prison.
And this is where we hit a huge paradox. See, our deadline, the fact that we know we're going to die, is what lights a fire under us. It's why we do things. But if you have all of eternity to write that book or learn that language, why bother starting today? You can always do it tomorrow, right? So weirdly enough, living forever could just kill your motivation. And this gets at a really key idea called finitude. It's a fancy word for something simple, the fact that things have an end. Our time is limited, and that's exactly why moments feel so precious, isn't it? A beautiful sunset, a great chat with a friend. We value them because we know deep down, they're not going to last forever.
Okay, but then you have an even bigger problem. Your own mind. Your memories are what make you, you. But our brains just aren't built to hold an infinite library of them. And that leads to a pretty terrifying question, actually.
See, after a few thousand years, your oldest memories, your childhood, your first love, the face of your parents, they'd start to get hazy. Then they'd fragment, and eventually, poof, gone. You'd basically be shedding old versions of yourself, like snakeskin. It's like a constant, slow-motion death of your own identity.
And if what's happening inside your own mind isn't bad enough, the social cost would be just devastating. Immortality would mean you'd have to face a kind of loneliness so deep, it's almost impossible for us to wrap our heads around.
Think about it. Just to get by, you'd have to live a lie, constantly faking your own death, changing your name, hiding who you are. Every single relationship would have an expiration date, for them, not you. You'd have to watch every friend, every partner, every child you might have, grow old and die, over and over and over again. How could you possibly go through that without your heart just shutting down?
And that feeling of being an outsider would just get worse and worse. I mean, after the first century, all your original friends and family are gone. 1,000 years in, the language you spoke is a dead language. Fast forward 10,000 years, and society is completely unrecognizable. You're not just old, you're a living fossil, a relic from a world that literally nobody else even remembers.
So on top of all that, you're also dealing with this unbelievable moral weight. I mean, you'd be forced to wrestle with the biggest, heaviest existential questions you can possibly imagine.
So here's a big one for you. If you've seen it all before, civilizations rising, falling, the whole thing, do you have a responsibility to step in? To try and guide humanity? To stop us from making the same old mistakes? Or is that just too risky?
Because imagine watching humanity make the same mistakes, fight the same wars, suffer in the same ways for thousands and thousands of years. It would be absolutely exhausting. That deep empathy you started with, it could easily sour into just not caring anymore. Or worse, nihilism. I mean, how many times can you watch the house catch fire before you just stop running for the water bucket?
And in the end, that loneliness goes cosmic. You'd outlive humanity. You'd outlive the Earth itself. Eventually, you'd watch the last star in the sky flicker and die, and you'd be left completely alone. The only one. The last consciousness in existence, just waiting for the universe to finally turn out the lights.
So, if living forever is actually a curse, then this whole thought experiment really brings us back to a pretty profound point about our own lives. It forces us to look at the beauty and the meaning that we only find because we're mortal.
Right? I mean, think about it. Joy feels so good because we know what loss feels like. A new beginning is exciting because we know there's eventually going to be an end. And moments feel so precious because they don't last. The ending is what gives the whole story its shape, its meaning.
And that right there is the core idea. Maybe mortality isn't some flaw in our design that we need to fix. Maybe it's actually its greatest gift, the thing that makes our lives so rich and so meaningful in the first place.
So the ultimate irony is kind of beautiful in a way. It might take being forced to live forever to finally understand the true, incredible, irreplaceable value of one single, precious, temporary lifetime.
So we'll leave you with this to chew on. Can our existence have any real meaning without death? It's a question that gets right to the heart of everything, really. Thanks so much for joining us for this one.